Are you a man looking for an intensive program to help you overcome your sexually addictive behaviors? Gateway to Freedom is your answer. Gateway to Freedom is a 3-day intensive workshop for men seeking to overcome sexually addictive behaviors. Whether married, single, or divorced, Gateway to Freedom will help men regain hope for a new life of purity and real contentment. The workshop is conducted by experts in the field of sexual addiction recovery. Your experts have over 35 years of combined experience. Read testimonials of workshop alumni at gatewaymen.com. Get all the info and register online at gatewaymen.com or call 1-800-49-PURITY.
Hi, my name is Jonathan, and I'm the founder of the Gateway to Freedom Workshop. I want to personally invite you to be part of our next workshop coming up July 24th through the 26th in Colorado. So call us today at 1-800-49-PURITY or visit gatewaymen.com.
Welcome to Pure Sex Radio, training men, educating women. Are you ready to get real and start living each day in purity? This dynamic program is designed to educate, encourage, and equip listeners with the tools necessary for living a life of sexual purity. Pure Sex Radio brings you the best in mobile talk radio. Listen to real-life struggles, learn how to overcome lust, pornography, and sex addiction, and get serious about purity. Your hosts for Pure Sex Radio are Jonathan Doherty and Stephen Cervantes. Jonathan is the director of Be Broken Ministries and founder of the Gateway to Freedom Workshop for Men. Stephen is the founder of the Hope Counseling Center. Visit us online at puresexradio.com. And now, please welcome Jonathan and Stephen on Pure Sex Radio.
Good day, radio listeners. Welcome to this week's edition of the Pure Sex Radio broadcast. We're glad to have you with us. My name is Jonathan. I'm here with Stephen. Stephen, how you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. Excited.
Good. Well, we're glad you're here. Listeners, we wanted to let you know that we have these 3-day workshops that are for men who want to overcome sexual struggles and strongholds. It's called Gateway to Freedom, and we do them periodically throughout the year in various parts of the country. And just wanted to let you know that these are powerful weekend workshops that help men get to the root of their issues and develop a plan for moving forward into the next season of life. So if you'd like to learn more about the Gateway to Freedom Workshop, simply go to gatewaymen.com. So, Stephen, I'm going to pass it off to you. We've got some exciting stuff to talk about. I guess I should give a disclaimer to any females that are listening.
Okay, but let me give the title, and then you give the disclaimer, okay?
Okay.
Gentlemen, we're going to have a talk for men, by men, about men, and specifically about male sexuality, manhood, and sexuality, male sexuality. Men talking to men about our sexuality. That's the topic today.
All right, and so therefore, ladies, if you are listening at your own risk.
That's it.
So,
if you're squirmish, if you don't want to know some things about males, turn the radio off and go find a good romantic novel or movie to watch.
Yeah.
Don't listen to this show.
I should probably also say that if you are ladies, if you are going to send us emails about this broadcast, because we've made the disclaimer, we may or may not respond to your emails.
That is too good. So I thought, Jonathan, could you and I be honest? Just say what you want to say and don't say, and I'll do the same thing. But male sexuality is difficult. I mean, being a man is difficult, and then being a sexual man is difficult. It's heavy. Have you noticed how many men haven't carried it well? Mm-hmm. And you know, sometimes I even think that the culture has sold women how to act like men. so that now the women are being sexual too. It's not bad enough that the men struggle with control. Now we're making the women look like men out of control. It's like, what the heck? But, okay, this isn't about blame. It's about male sexuality everywhere being a struggle in your face. And how do we respond? We are biological beings. Yes, we're spirit, but we are physical. He made us spiritual. He made us sexual beings.
And I think this is one of the challenges that that we just have. Like, I think about in our support group sometimes, because we will talk about the fact that all men struggle with their sexuality. And so even just unpacking that idea, the idea that there is a struggle, the idea that it is such a kind of a, if I can put it this way, quick response system.
Yes.
That sometimes, especially Christian men, especially men in the church, really struggle with just the fundamental basics of our biology. Because they have there's such a confusion, there's such a shame, there's such a connection to inappropriate sexual behavior.
Right.
So there's all this sort of soup of
oh, that's good.
of sexual stuff that to try to kind of organize or sift through it and say, hey, where is just a normal, healthy, and where does that line to unhealthy, abnormal,
Where are those healthy, normal
and that's
guys
why I like to describe it as a soup.
That is too good.
It's kind of all mixed
I'm
together.
remembering the homeless people that would get together and they'd put a big pot out and bring whatever you got.
Mm-hmm.
And you never knew what you were going to eat because somebody brought a carrot and somebody brought a potato and somebody had a bone and they threw it in and a piece of garlic and this soup, we have no idea what's for supper, but there's all this stuff. And I started this mission with this thought, hey, I'm going to go understand male sexuality. Yeah, it's not, just go study it and learn it. And it's like,
and here you are, almost 20 years later?
I am still learning about male sexuality.
Yeah.
So it is no simple topic. And it's very much a part of how we feel alive as men. Sexually is like, it's a good feeling to be a sexual being.
And here's the thing that I think we should, I don't know if we're going to get into it a whole lot this particular broadcast, but, I would like to even broaden this out to say we're really talking about maleness. And so many times I think that gets narrowed down into, like, even when we're talking about sexuality, maleness and femaleness, a lot of times when you're talking to men, especially, when we talk about maleness and then we say you're a sexual being, what does a man immediately start thinking about? Well, he starts to think about his sexual organ, and he starts to think about specific, like, orgasm and
putting it somewhere.
Yeah.
Sorry, is that too crude?
And so,
that's what he thinks immediately. Sexual, erect.
Yeah, and arousal and things like
Yeah.
that, where it's like, well, actually, if you think about our system in terms of maleness and the sexuality that we care, it is much more than that. It is now, obviously, we're going to talk a little bit about the difficulty in that aspect of it in terms of temptation.
Keep developing this thought. We'll just go wherever the show goes.
Well,
but when you say maleness versus our sexual self that jumps out fast and wants to respond, and we have testosterone that sort of crawls in our skin sometime, but you're saying maleness is bigger.
Well, think about it this way. We can't, as a man, we cannot process anything in our lives without it coming through the grid of our maleness. We are male. So what I mean by that is down to our biology on the very basic chromosomal level. It's like we are male. And so that means the thoughts, the experiences, everything, the conversations we have, they're all going through the grid of our maleness.
Now, when you say male, I think we're taller, we have broader backs, we have deeper voices, we have bigger muscles. We're male. But you're saying even deeper than that. Well, every cell has a frame of manhood on it.
Mm-hmm. You were mentioning testosterone. Well, okay, that's one of the reasons we're taller and we have more hair and we have all this kind of stuff. And it's like, well, that's part of the grid that everything's going through. So what I guess what I'm saying is we don't want our listeners to think of it in just this very narrow, one-dimensional way of the struggle of our sexuality is simply about sexual arousal, that I think the struggle that we have as men many times is this broader context of how do we manage our maleness? How do we manage what it means to be a sexual to be a sexual being as a man? Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, you lost me on the very last part. I got the big frame as maleness with what all that includes, but then not just a sexual being, because that's like a part of maleness then, right?
Well, I'm just saying we tend to focus on just the arousal struggle. Like, for instance, when we're talking about the quick response system, right?
Right.
You're out and about, and you see an attractive woman, and you have the immediate just kind of biological pop that you're just like, wow, she's beautiful. And I'm saying that's not all it's about in terms of, I think, what we struggle with as men.
So keep building that. Then what else is, because it is about my biology jumps out there. It's about beauty attracts my eye. And is that what you're saying?
And what I'm saying is, I think the other things we struggle with in terms of our maleness is, what does it mean to truly be intimate with a woman?
Oh, not intimacy and emotions and romance. This is a man-to-man talk.
But hey, I think that's part of it, because why do we get so conditioned in our quick response system to go wherever it leads, and then somehow think, well, that's what real manhood's about?
No, that's an excellent point, because in a bigger container, right, we're made for oneness and bonding and intimacy and emotional health and romance and all that.
And what I'm saying is dealing with this quick response system is the gateway into really beginning to understand and deal with all these other areas of being a male.
Because we can narrow fast.
Oh, we can go there
quick.
But we can't,
if you take like a V, we can narrow down to that point fast, but can we open it up to the wholeness? That's another talk show. I'm talking about the battle right now, but I think you're absolutely right in terms of what the answer to the battle is, right? Because we got to put the battle in a bigger context. Boy, I think you got it. This is like part A and part B of the show.
Well, let's go back to part A, then we can talk more about.
I think this is spot on, though, to say, look, you got to look big picture here. Because as boys, what did we do? We just funneled it right down into arousal and orgasm and pleasure and now and fast and quick and good, right? Mm-hmm. And this like immature boyhood, simple pleasure, quick and done, right? Mm-hmm. So, and now you're saying, well, what is maleness about? Slow down. Let's practice maturity. Let's go deeper. Let's be relational, not just self-pleasure focused. Mm-hmm. So you're sounding smart. I was in the battle still. You already given us
I ran ahead.
You did good.
I had a different quick response system. I ran ahead too quick.
So I'm going to just back up a little bit, because I even like what you said, quick response system, because I had 3 or 4 notes. Why is there such a pull? Mm-hmm. Why does my body act this way? I did not put this in my system. You understand? Now, I've refined it and said I like A over B, but I didn't wake up one day and say, well, today I'm going to be a sexual being. Well, watch me.
Right.
No, I just woke up and it was there. Mm-hmm. My sexuality was there, and it pulls, and it's fast, and it evaluates quickly.
Yeah, no man, when he sees something or someone tempting, has ever done this. I promise you. No man has ever stopped and gone, let's see, what kind of response am I going to have
today
to this image?
Yeah, right now.
No, he doesn't. It's immediate.
That's right.
There's no sense of processing.
So if any woman's listening, this is probably terrifying. What? Your brain's out of control. You have this automatic system. It pops quick, and you go, and you filter, and you look, and you scan. Yes, but don't tell them that, right? But we can agree with each other that this biological system we have has been refined and sophisticated, and we've developed it, and we've taken this energy, and we've focused it. And some of us have harnessed it so it's serving us well, and some of us have let that run wild, run stallion, run with the wild ones, and then we got kind of a sloppy, messy life. So, you know what's interesting? So we have this automatic system that goes, and it's not like, why did you have that thought? Somebody, well, why did you have that thought? Hey, I got up and it was there. What do you mean? It just popped out. I didn't go, okay, listen, I'm only going to do this all day long. I'm going to map out my whole day. Hey, I'm just living, okay? And this stuff is happening. And so we have to manage that system, number one. And number two, have you ever noticed after you've been sexual, you want to be sexual more? It's like, hey, when is this satisfied? I mean, you just had sex. And what are you thinking about? The next time you're going to have sex.
Mm-hmm.
Is that bizarre? Or is that regular? Or is that sexuality? Is that what is that?
And this is another thing that is likely to cause some panic if any ladies are listening, because, and this kind of feeds into the kind of the sad caricature that has been made of men, is that they're just insatiable beasts. There's. And here's the thing I think is important for us as men to be able to be perfectly honest with each other about, is that, like you said, our biology is our biology.
Yes.
We did not make ourselves male.
Yeah.
God from the beginning says, I will make them male and female. He is the one who had the idea to make men like men and women like women. And so now some people will twist these words and try to make it into an excuse for being sloppy with how they then use their biology. But all I'm saying is that we need to at least be able to acknowledge that arousal, those feelings, those urges, those are not something that is abnormal. That's not something that is you're doing something wrong because you had a sexual urge or a sexual feeling or anything like that. And that's where I mentioned before, sometimes this is where a lot of Christian men struggle to have any sexual feeling or urge. They immediately go to their shame place because they have so associated any sexual feelings with sin that they don't understand even their own biology. That God's the one that made you a sexual man. And this is, I think, why it's such a struggle for us, is because, again, back to the whole sexual soup. Where's the line? How do we know when? And because I think there are a lot of guys that have a false shame about their sexuality. They've grown up maybe in such a prudish home that they've developed a belief that's core to them that says sexuality is bad, that it's wrong, that to even have a sexual feeling is inappropriate. And so we kind of have to bring the balance back here to where we just are willing to accept what is biology, and then where do I go with it from there? That's what we have to, that's where I think we harness and we respond and we...
Okay. I'm still in the struggle. That's good, Jonathan. But I got to tell you something. I have gotten worse over the years. If I'm honest, where I started, I got worse. And every man listening to me is shaking their head. Because did you just look at one picture once and stop? No. You saw another picture, right? You should have turned the TV off and you watched it. Most of us didn't mean to get worse, but we wanted a little more nibble, a little more. And so we've gotten worse on this journey with our sexuality. And we knew we should stop, but we didn't stop. But the alarm was going off to stop, but we didn't stop. And so, man, when I say those things, how do I feel good about me? Because we're trying to talk about the male sexual struggle. We can't hide it. We have to confess. We got worse. I got worse. Did you get worse? You know anybody that didn't get worse?
No, I mean, I don't know anybody that started out innocent and remained innocent.
That's it, exactly. Now, I heard a guy once say, I never looked at porn until college. I thought, wow, that's phenomenal. Look how mature you are. And then he said, I went crazy with porn.
Right.
But it's like, darn, you almost, most of us got introduced to porn by somebody else. It's like, wow, that's another dynamic, right, of sexuality. It's like, I didn't make up porn. Did you make up porn?
Nope.
We didn't make up porn. Somebody else made up porn. and then they shoved it into our life. Now, of course, we responded, and we were scared and repulsed, but we were excited, and it's like, but I didn't make up porn, and you didn't make up porn.
And you know, what I hear you saying then is one of the things that we need to acknowledge is, because I think we are all very prone to self-protection, right? I mean, we want to protect self, we want to defend self, and so even as you were saying that, I was waiting for you to say, but, I've gotten better now, and I mean, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, I wanted to, but I thought, now let's just be honest.
But here's what I'm
still
saying.
not perfection, Jonathan.
Oh, well,
I'm
neither
better,
am I. Yeah.
but I'm not perfection.
Well, but what I'm hearing you say, and this is something I think can be very liberating maybe for some guys out there, is we're so prone to self-protection that many of us are unwilling to admit that we have all gotten worse. And what that does, I think, is it realizes that we came from this place of innocence, at least in our behavior early on, because we didn't, most of us were not, 2-3 years old looking at porn, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so
in our
we
cribs,
came from this place of innocence.
Yeah.
We got exposed. None of us stopped at one picture. We got worse for a season, and then we had to come to a place at some point in our lives to decide, will we get better? And so everybody's gone on this dip cycle. Everybody's gone down in this dip. Yeah. And so I think if we admit that as men, then I think there's a greater sense of being able to help each other then to better manage our sexuality. If a guy's unwilling to admit that he's also part of that journey, then we can't help him.
And he got worse.
We can't help him.
And he knew to stop, but he didn't stop.
Right.
Right? And then, the other thing that occurs to me is I think our sexuality climbs on the back of other attributes. Like, sexuality lines up and befriends greed and says, why don't you get some more? That was good. Get more. Get better, will you? And I think our sexuality lines up with ingratitude. Hey, you shouldn't have to settle for that. Mm-hmm. That was okay. Get something better that, more, better, keep going. Mm-hmm. Hey, look over there. Look what he has. Why don't you get one? You're getting behind. It's like our sexuality climbs on the back of any weakness it can to push us and prod us and whisper to us. And then there's a question of, why do I like to look at the prettiest girl? Why does the ugly girl not hold my interest as much? Mm. Is that bad? Does that make me bad? And I don't want to be bad.
And this is something that I think gets even to a broader discussion of the way that our sexuality shapes our values. Because if you think about it, Steve, when we were young and we were exposed to pornography, and I know that pornography has gotten much, I guess I could put it this way, sicker in today's world. But I think the porn that you and I saw in a magazine or something, it was not pictures of ugly girls. And so it shaped our value through our sexuality. Our value system was shaped to value a pretty girl more than an ugly girl. And so in some ways,
I bought that value system,
yeah.
Right? I said, yeah, that's a good value system.
So,
I'm with you guys that think like that. I'm not with the church guys that go, everybody's equal, practice looking, and equal. Oh, come on.
But this gets back to what I was saying about the bigger struggle that we have with maleness. Is, guess what? We've got to address that value system, don't we? It's not just about arousal. It's not just about the moment of temptations. It's about me saying, why do I value this human being's form over that human being's form?
Yes.
When in their value as a human being, there is no separation between their value. And so it's like, again, our sexuality is what shaped that value system.
And then what about the fact that my sexuality, if I feel like a loser, my sexuality will climb on top of that feeling and say, have I got a solution for you? Mm-hmm. I can make you a winner in fantasy land.
Yeah.
You can be a star. You don't have to be a loser. And so we live in this sexual tension. I live in sexual tension. Do you? Mm-hmm. And do you think every man out there is living in sexual tension?
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, I think we've talked about this before on the program, that in fact, the way God made us is with our sexuality is I think there is supposed to be a healthy tension. I think a guy is deceiving himself if he thinks he will ever get to a place in this life where he is free from sexual tension. Because he's detached himself from the world. I mean,
there's a woman shaking her head out there going, what the hell? Say that line again. No man is ever free of living in sexual tension.
And that doesn't have to be a frightening statement. It doesn't have to be a scary thing. It doesn't have to be a negative thing. It's just, again, if we're going to be honest about reality, the reality of maleness and
sexuality.
And sexuality.
Men talking to men about the sexual part of ourselves, that's heavy biology.
And the thing is, I think actually when you state the truth, that there is always going to be sexual tension in a man's life, then you can address it.
That's
right?
half the freedom.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you can say the battle, you're half done with the battle. But if it's a secret and you don't ever talk about it, if you don't bring it to the light, if you don't share it with the brother.
Well, and if you believe the delusion that you could get to a place where you don't have any sexual tension anymore in your life, then it's probably going to get worse. You're going to just get worse.
And that's why men need men. And that's why God said, go to church every 7 days.
Mm-hmm. Fellowship, come together.
No, get the message right. Because the inner dialogue, it wants to seduce you, okay?
Right.
So go to church and get the spiritual dialogue and the identity correct, and drop the shame while you're there, and get a sense of peace and freedom, and don't be,
So I want to get to the solutions that you had said about, okay, how can we better manage this tension, this struggle, the temptations. And so I want you to share with our listeners some statements that maybe men can maybe almost like a creed that they can go over in their minds about saying, this is how I want to manage this tension.
So number one, the Bible talks about binding and loosing. And whatever you bind, you'll be bound to. And lots of us bound ourselves to bad sexual stuff. And today's the day of loosening. Mm-hmm. So you say, when you see a female that arouses you and you get excited, you say, I don't bind myself to you. Mm-hmm. I don't bind myself to you. I bind myself to my God. I bind myself to my wife. I bind myself to integrity. I don't bind myself to you, because my biology says, bind there, mm-hmm. go there, play there, good there. I don't bind myself to you. Number two, I don't need your beauty. Mm. God is beautiful. I have beauty all around me. My wife is beautiful. I have enough beauty. I do not need your beauty. It's okay. You can have your beauty. I don't need it. Because as a kid, I thought, I need her beauty. Her beauty will make me better, stronger, mm-hmm. likable. I'll just capture her beauty. And guess what? I mean, it's sort of goofy, but I do not need your beauty. Number three, today I choose to practice gratitude. I will be grateful for what I have. I will not act like I'm a 12-year-old sloppy kid that's trying to grab and sneak and hide and put something in my pocket and hope nobody sees me take what's not mine. I'm going to practice gratitude today. And I'm going to be grateful for what I have. I don't need one more thing. I'm grateful today. I've got plenty. I'm practicing gratitude before my Father. I also have, as a fourth one, I don't want to take what's not mine. Mm-hmm. That's not mine. I don't want to take that. That's not mine. So really, I'm separating. I don't want to take that because that's not for me. I don't want to take that because as a 2-year-old, give me. And my sexuality says, give me. No, I don't want to take that. And that's not mine. That's not mine. Mm-hmm. It's not for my eyes. That's not for me. I want to practice good. I like your statement, maleness. I want to be a whole being. I don't want my sexuality to hijack the system. I don't want sexuality to piggyback on loneliness or fear or doubt. I want to be content with my Father and what I have. And I don't want to be out of control. I want to be a man that reins in his sexuality and enjoys his sexuality and uses his sexuality in a healthy, God-honoring way. I want to be free with my sexuality and in my sexuality. I want to be free.
Well, that is good stuff. And folks, if you want to just continue the conversation about being honest about your sexual struggles and where you're at, please contact us. We look forward to talking with you and helping you through that. And we look forward to having you back here again next week on the Pure Sex Radio broadcast.
Pure Sex Radio is paid for by Be Broken Ministries. Visit us online at puresexradio.com.